So I do have today the pleasure of presenting to you the year in review, and it certainly is a pleasure to be able to stand before you and talk about the many accomplishments of our organization over the course of the past 12 months. But before I start, I would like to first off start by saying thank you. Thank you to our provincial and federal partners. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to work in cooperation with you to deliver some absolutely fantastic fish and wildlife programs that will not only enhance fishing and hunting opportunities on a provincial level, but also on a national level. So we certainly thank you for that, and I will highlight some of those as I work through my presentation. Also, our board of directors, a great group of men and women who dedicate their time to make sure that we establish those fine policies, those policies that help drive this organization. So important. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the hard work and dedication of my co-workers. Quite frankly, 50 plus of the most dedicated individuals you'll ever want to meet, and we have about 30 of them here today. So take the opportunity to approach them, to ask them anything you want. They're the most knowledgeable people you'll ever want to meet. They'll be more than happy to talk to you. This weekend is a work weekend for them, so please put them to the task. Ask them whatever you like. They'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But last but certainly not least, I need to say thank you to each and every one of you, our valued members, because quite frankly, if it wasn't for you, your commitment, and your dedication to protecting and enhancing the future well-being of this province's organization, we would not be celebrating our 86th birthday. So thank you. So I'd like to get started this morning with a head office year in review, and I want to start with our most important asset, our membership. Our most important asset is our membership. So what did our membership achieve in 2013? So let's take a look. And I know I've used this slide before, but I can't say it any better. Since 1928, joining the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters has been the single greatest investment a conservation-minded angler and hunter can make in Ontario. And that is so true. And that is so true. So, in 2013, we reached a high of 84,833 members. We represented an amazing 710 member clubs right across the province of Ontario. And we also have 543 of the most dedicated individuals who we are extremely proud and honored to call life members. And I look through this room right now and I see some life members. I see Frank Wick. I see my friend Don McVitie sitting back there. Gentlemen, thank you. And thanks to all the other life members in the room for your commitment and dedication. So let's talk about how we achieve these great numbers. And I know that you've all had the opportunity to take a look at some of these great membership campaigns, whether you're plugged into Angler and Hunter Television, whether you listen to Angler and Hunter Radio, Ontario Out of Doors Magazine. We always feature great membership campaigns that help bring new members to the organization, but also help us maintain those super strong numbers. And those industry leaders, those manufacturers that help us support these membership campaigns are extremely pleased with what we do for them, because you know what? We offer 25 million impressions to them through print ads, social media, TV, trade shows, etc. So again, I know you've all seen these great campaigns. Please feel free if you have any further questions on campaigns or you want to take advantage. We're here to help you this weekend. Member benefits. And I want to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the great benefits that we offer when you become a member of the OFAH. Our individual excess liability coverage remains at $3 million. There's also an OFAH affiliate club option for an additional $2 million umbrella policy for club liability or range coverage. Great North Wildlife Affiliates accidental death and dismemberment policy still remains at $5,000. And as always, if you want to take advantage of these benefits through your club has to maintain a 100% affiliation with the organization, which quite basically means every member of your club has to be an OFH member. Affinity partners, and I know a lot of them are here with us this weekend. Please take the opportunity to drop by their displays and thank them for their continued support of our organizations. But we had quite a few of our members take advantage of great savings on things like auto insurance, home insurance, insurance for your ATV, snowmobiles through our friends at BrokerLink. And OFH members saved up to 30% on those premiums. We also have a great arrangement with TSC stores, and they continue to offer all our members a 15% discount on many products throughout their store. And once a month, they do offer monthly specials for OFH members, and you can save an additional 25 to 30%. The Bank of Montreal. Now, I know each and every one of you carry a credit card. I would really, really appreciate it if you would consider carrying one of these. It's a Bank of Montreal credit card, MasterCard. It is the official card of Anglers and Hunters, and the OFAH receives an annual annuity payment each and every time you use your credit card. And I know a lot of you were here last year, and you were here to welcome the Bank of Montreal representatives. Last year's contribution from the Bank of Montreal to the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters, just because you use the credit card, and it doesn't cost you anything. You have to pay your bill at the end of, that's up to you, whether you pay your bill or not. But at the end of the day, last year, the Bank of Montreal contributed $55,000 to the OFH just because you cared enough to use this card, and we encourage you to do so. OFH members have peace of mind with $4,000 of accidental death and dismemberment insurance, and thanks to our partnerships at AIL Canada for that. AIL is also a sustaining member and makes a generous annual affinity payment to the OFAH. Mark's Work Warehouse continues to be a great supporter as well, and I don't know if you realize this or not, but last year OFH members spent in excess of $500,000 at Mark's Work Warehouse. A portion of these sales support our work, and Mark's Work Warehouse continues to offer OFH members an additional 10% off regularly priced items. As well, if you're looking for that special piece of electronic equipment or home appliance, please consider visiting The Brick. In 2013, The Brick offered members of our organization anywhere from 10 to 40% off, and the OFH does receive an annual affinity contribution based on member purchases made through The Brick. As well, OFH members save anywhere from 5 to 15% on a variety of products made possible to us through our partnership with UPS stores. They also make an affinity contribution to our organization. It's all you have to do there when you visit UPS. Show them your OFH member card. They know who we are, and they'll certainly look after you. Manulife Financial, for those members that are looking for that additional health or dental coverage, we do have a great selection of products available through Manulife, and the OFH receives a percentage based on the volume the package is sold. And again, a great list of sustaining members. So as you're going through your day-to-day, please remember to support those who support us. It's so important, and they certainly care about the future well-being of Fish and Wildlife, and they care just as much as you do. Let's talk about fundraising for a minute. OFH fundraising, and we do an absolutely fantastic job with fundraising. And again, this guy here, he's been with our organization for almost 30 years. You'll recognize him as Dave Pinn. That guy, in his 30-year career, has given away more stuff than Monty Hall. 2013 marked our 39th annual OFH Conservation Lottery. The prize package totaled almost $302,000. Still, the best value in town. Tickets are only $2. But the neat thing about this project or program is not only do you contribute to Fish and Wildlife programs on a provincial level through purchasing these tickets, each and every one of our clubs that help sell tickets also receives a $6 kickback on each book they sell. And as you noticed last evening, we recognized some of our very committed clubs for the sale of those tickets. Royal City Club, 691 books of tickets they sold for us last year, an absolutely fantastic accomplishment. As well, we also count on our members to help sell tickets. So if you haven't purchased tickets yet, please visit our store. I know Tim Watts is in there. We have some lottery tickets available. I certainly hope that next year I can flash your picture up here as the grand prize winner of that great boat, motor, and trailer package. And again, just to highlight some of the great clubs that help us sell tickets and make the lottery the success that it is today. Well in the throes of our 40th, and again, trucks, boats, motors, ATV, firearms, optics, it's all there, and tickets are still only $2. We certainly hope that this lottery is the biggest and best ever as far as the history of this organization goes. We still offer the print program, and it's available for all clubs and individual members who sell 5 or more books of tickets. Simply send us $10, which covers the cost of shipping and handling, and we would be more than happy to send you this limited edition signed and numbered print. This year the print is titled Iridescence, and it's by Clinton Jammer. And again, for those of you that are interested in some great framing deals, we'll offer those to you as well. Monthly giving. Did you know that last year 2,900 OFH members contributed to conservation in Ontario with a total donation in excess of $450,000. And I'm also pleased to report that we also experienced a huge growth in our monthly giving program. 650 new donors were introduced in 2013, and that's a huge accomplishment. As well, we have some great fundraising initiatives that have been with us for many, many years, and I know all of you have supported our card and our calendar and our merchandise, and every time you purchase a piece of OFH merchandise, it helps support our cause, that important fish and wildlife cause, as well the stamp and label program, all great programs that help us generate much needed revenue to help drive the organization. So we've talked about great membership, we've talked about some great fundraising initiatives. Let's talk about some of the things that we've been able to achieve on behalf of you, our members, through your generosity in our fundraising. So let's start with wildlife management. And again, you heard the deputy mention this morning, and I can't tell you how pleased our organization is with M&R's announcement of a partial reinstatement of a spring bear hunt and those 8 northern wildlife management units. There's no organization out there that has spent more time, more money, and more resources on this than the OFH. And you know what? Today is a day to celebrate. It certainly is. We've come a long way since 1999 when the hunt was abruptly canceled. But just think about all the work that we've put in, and we're now starting to see some certain benefits and some rewards on our efforts. We've done all kinds of great things. I know the EBR was flooded with responses and support. I know that you've taken the time to write your MPPs and voice your support of this important initiative. I know that you've sent letters to everyone you possibly can, and you've talked to so many people telling them the importance of this pilot project. What do you think's left? What do we have left to do? We have one thing left to do. I want you to go out and I want you to buy a license, and I want you to take advantage of this great hunting opportunity that's been provided to you this spring. I want you to all go bear hunting, and let's enjoy it because we deserve it. We've also worked with the Ministry of Natural Resources to analyze the potential to expand black bear hunting opportunities to all wildlife management units that don't currently have fall seasons, and we will continue to work with M&R on that project. Moose management. We have been representatives of the M&R's Provincial Big Game Management Committee for many years. The committee does meet to discuss draft moose tag allocations. We have reviewed and provided input, and we were successful in our request to M&R to increase tag allocations in certain wildlife management units, so that's great news for our members and all hunters of the resident, and all resident hunters within Ontario. As well, our staff continue to look at M&R's moose review report, and we are engaged in that as well. Whitetail deer management, controlled deer hunts. I know that's been a hot topic over the course of 2013. We did request a complete review of controlled hunts in Southern Ontario based on comments and concerns from our OFH members and zones. And we're pleased that we will engage in more fulsome discussions into 2014. The use of leash dogs for big game retrieval. This is something that the OFH has advocated for many years. We certainly supported M&R's regulatory amendments, which were posted in 2012. In 2013, hunters were allowed the use of leash dogs to track and recover big game animals, and wildlife management units where hunting with dogs was not previously permitted, and that's great news for all of us. Wild turkeys. We have requested that M&R designate the Saturday before the regular opening of the spring turkey season as a Youth Wild Turkey Heritage Day. We do participate in M&R's Wild Turkey Working Group, and we are continually working with M&R to identify additional spring and fall turkey hunting opportunities. And I know the deputy this morning in his remarks mentioned that if you haven't done so, please visit the EBR. There's 5 wildlife management units posted there that will offer either a spring or fall season. Please take the opportunity to visit and offer your positive comments. And I believe that EBR posting closes last week of March 24th, I believe. Migratory birds, this is a huge success and great news for hunters, migratory bird hunters right across the province, and it's something that the OFAH has advocated for many, many years, and we're certainly happy to see that mourning dove season in those central and southern zones. And it was a great work on behalf of our organization, organizations such as Long Point Waterfowl and the OFH Board of Directors recognized last evening one of their own for his outstanding contributions to help move this forward. Where's Dr. Scott Petrie? Is he in the room? Thank you, Scott. Well done. And of course, the efforts and the great partnership we formed with the Canadian Wildlife Service as well. Still with migratory birds, we were supportive of the Canadian Wildlife Service effort to manage overabundant species. We were supportive of the removal of possession limits for Canada geese, crackling geese, and snow geese in 2013. And we have requested the Canadian Wildlife Service take an active role to ensure invasive mute spawns are successfully managed to mitigate the damage to our valuable waterfowl resources. And I know Scott asked the question of the deputy just a few moments ago, and we have written to M&R and our friends south of the border to hope that we can all get together and figure out on what our next move should be to manage the invasive mute swan. Still with migratory birds, we have requested Environment Canada amend regulations to allow migratory birds to be donated and used for fundraising events. I know a lot of you will be here this evening and you'll experience an absolutely fantastic wild game and fish buffet. Wouldn't it be great that in the near future we can offer migratory game birds there as well? Bancroft Hastings elk hunt. It was the 3rd hunt in 2013. All in all, 2,286 applications were received for the available 70 tags. Out of the 70, 64 were purchased, and the results of the September hunt were similar to the previous 2. 23 elk were harvested. We have also requested an expansion of elk hunting opportunities, increased tag allocation for the existing gun hunt, and a 1-week bows-only season prior to the gun hunt, and we will continue those discussions and talks with M&R. Elk management on the Lake Huron North Shore. We do participate in the elk subcommittee of the Municipality of Huron Shores, with the main focus of conversations in 2013 being elk landowner conflicts. We have asked the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources to complete the population objective setting process to determine if a hunt is sustainable, and we'll continue with that dialogue. Elk management on the Nipissing French River. We did attend a meeting between the Sudbury Elk Restoration Committee and the CN Rail executives to discuss potential methods to mitigate elk train collisions, and we were successful in convincing CN Rail to establish a reporting protocol for all big game species struck by trains on CN Rail owned properties, with the hopes that we'll be able to identify those hotspots and come up with the best possible methods to help control that. Woodland caribou. We are involved and have been for many years in the Woodland Caribou Management Plan. The subcommittee did provide comments critical of the draft range management policy. We expressed our concerns with the range boundaries and the prioritization of woodland caribou habitat and management, and we know that this will affect our northern OFH members and that very, very precious moose habitat. Chronic wasting disease is a hot topic, and it was a very active file for us in 2013 as well. We did send a letter to the Federal Minister of Agriculture. Our recommendation was the prohibition of the interprovincial movement of live cervids, with the exception of science, research, or conservation. The CWD task force did not consider the elimination of cervid farming and the industry, and their proposed options were wholly inadequate to stop the spread of chronic wasting disease in Canada. Now, it's important to note that quite a few of individuals that are on this task force, guess what they do for a living? They're in the cervid industry. M&R Human Wildlife Conflict Advisory Group, and we are an active participant, and we advocated for the phase-out of cervid farming with compensation to farmers. We feel that that's fair. M&R's accountability when cervids escape or are released from farms, and the need for accurate stats about the game farming industry. We heard talk about the M&R's Fish and Wildlife Special Purpose Account, the Revenue Generation Project, and we were pleased to have been given the opportunity to be involved in this exercise, as were a lot of you, whether it's through your zone or your club. And we provided feedback and recommendations to help ensure new revenue generated by this exercise will be spent appropriately and not result in diminishing of funds to the fish and wildlife programs through the Consolidated Revenue Fund. So quite frankly, what we're saying is, we as anglers and hunters do contribute 2/3, the lion's share of the money that goes into that SPA. The Consolidated Revenue Fund also contributes. We just want to make sure that any extra revenue that's generated doesn't equate to a diminish in the contribution from the Consolidated Revenue Fund. M&R's modernization of approvals. Regulatory amendments were made to update requirements for approvals for various fish and wildlife related activities under the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Act as part of M&R's 3-year transformation plan, and we heard the deputy speak of that just a few moments ago. All the proposed changes were accepted and came into force in 2014. Many of the proposed amendments have been requested by the OFAH in recent years and have resulted in favorable outcomes for our members and clubs. Things like wild harvested fish and game can be served at charity events without M&R permits. Doesn't mean you disregard the rules. There still are rules and regulations that you have to follow. Just makes the permitting process or the application process much simpler. Licensed hunters are now included in a list of agents that are permitted to assist landowners by harassing or dispatching problem wildlife, and municipalities no longer require M&R approval to employ hunters to harvest those problem fur bearers, and that's good news. As well, aquaculture-related licenses, for example, fish stocking and collection permits for the community hatcheries, will now be available in a 3-in-1 license and will provide more flexibility by stating the term of validity on the license rather than in the regulation. And I believe another one is for those of you that love to hunt raccoons at night. You don't now you do not require that special license to hunt raccoons at night. It's still covered. It's covered under your small game license. Sporting dogs. We did undertake the initiative to revise the sporting dog brochure, which promotes responsible use of sporting dogs in the field. And if you haven't had the opportunity to do so, I encourage you to visit the website www.ofah.hunting. Take a look at the guide, and if you like, download it. You can distribute it to your friends and your hunting buddies. Fisheries management, and before I go into fisheries management, I want to make sure that everyone grabbed a copy of the annual report. It's located on the table at the back of the room. 84 pages of absolutely fantastic information. Unfortunately today, because of timing, I can't go into the great details and depth of everything we've worked on. I'm going to give you that 30,000, that very high-level view, but here's a great read. Please take it home with you. Take it back to your clubs. Take it back to your zones. And again, we do have 30 staff members here that'd be more than happy to speak to you on everything that's contained within the pages of this very valuable document. Fisheries management. So the fishery management zones and advisory councils, the OFH has staff and volunteer representatives on all established councils. We're certainly supportive of the development of councils to engage stakeholders in fisheries management decisions, and we do provide that valuable input during the development of plans and regulations. Lake Simcoe, we are a member of the Lake Simcoe Fishery Stakeholder Committee and the Lake Simcoe Coordinating Committee, and in recent years the OFH has been advocating for the return of an open lake herring fishery. The efforts of the OFAH and the committee have resulted in the development of criteria and the data needed for M&R to make those informed decisions, and we're certainly pleased that M&R has taken on the initiative, and we're hopeful and we will continue to advocate for that lake herring fishery to reopen in 2015. Lake Nipissing. I'll take a few moments just to speak about this. If you recall, back in 2012, we were provided some documents from M&R, their documents, and we were asked to review these documents to help determine why the decline of the walleye fishery in Lake Nipissing. So our staff quickly determined that the reason that the walleye populations in Lake Nipissing were in decline, and our staff actually termed it in crisis, is because of the unregulated commercial gillnet harvest within the lake. Our position at that time was, and it still is, to immediately suspend that commercial gillnet harvest, regulate it. Suspend and regulate. Unfortunately, what happened was, M&R further restriction to the recreational walleye anglers by cutting the limits from 4 fish to only 2. No restrictions whatsoever were imposed on the commercial gillnet fishery. And as you heard today through some of the questions posed, there's speculation about potential management actions which include additional size restrictions. Our staff also determined that with an unregulated commercial gillnet harvest, no recreational fishery restrictions will help the population recover, and that's sad. That's really sad. And we will continue to lobby the government to fully regulate the commercial gillnet fishery, because in our opinion, that's what it's going to take to start that fishery back on the road to recovery. M&R Saugeen Ojibwe Nation SON agreement. M&R and SON signed a new commercial fishing agreement for areas of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay that flank the Bruce Peninsula. The new agreement expands the fishing areas into Owen Sound Bay and Clopoise Bay. We have raised a number of concerns with M&R related to public safety, conservation, and consultation, and we heard a lot of those questions posed again here this morning. We will continue to monitor this issue and advocate for an agreement that incorporates conservation and reflects the needs of our members and clubs in the area. The Black Sturgeon Dam, as all of us know, the dams are barriers to fish, but they also block invasive species and the passage of invasive species, and in the case of the Black Sturgeon River, sea lamprey. The OFAH the OFAH asked M&R to initiate a structured process to access the trade-offs of removing the dam. The OFAH preferred solution in this was a trap and sort fishway. This was a very active file for us in 2013. We had staff attend a series of 3 or 4 meetings in the Thunder Bay area, and we are now waiting for M&R's decision on how they're going to proceed. The Greater Urban Recreational Fishing Plan, we did participate on the technical team to develop a plan that can guide partners and improve urban recreational fishing opportunities, and there are some great fishing opportunities all the way from the border of Burlington right through Toronto. We just want to make sure that these are totally accessible and fully utilized. The Lake Erie Perkid Management Advisory Group, OFH was an active participant in the stakeholder consultations for walleye and yellow perch management through the Management Advisory Group. The model used to determine total allowable catches for Lake Erie is currently being updated. The OFH has provided input to ensure the interests of Ontario recreational anglers are fully represented. The model will be used to determine 2014 allowable allocations, and we are not expecting any changes to that recreational angler limits in Ontario. It's good news. Bait. The OFH participated on the M&R Bait Review Advisory Group. It is created to bring stakeholders together to review the use and harvest of bait in Ontario, with the ultimate goal of developing a system to better address those ecological challenges. The OFH continues to be a strong advocate for the continued use of live bait by anglers, and this process is ongoing, but it is expected to wrap up in 2014. Federal Fisheries Act. We continue to be involved in discussions related to the 2012 changes to the Fisheries Act. We did participate in many workshops and discussions with other organizations. Included in that was a collaborative meeting with all our affiliates from across Canada. We experienced success in influence the operational approach, development of regulations and policies, and implementation of DFO's Fisheries Protection Program, and this will be an OFH priority in the coming years. Asian carp. I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time talking about Asian carp because you will hear an absolutely fantastic presentation this afternoon on Asian carp. But as you know, this is a very active file with our organization. We do participate on numerous committees and project teams working to prevent Asian carp from entering the Great Lakes. And speaking of the Great Lakes, we do have the Great Lakes Water Quality Agreement, and we are members of 3 annex subcommittees, which include lake-wide management, aquatic invasive species, and habitat and species. And we also have observer status on the Great Lakes Executive Committee to the Great Lakes Water Quality Agreement. And I dare you to say that 3 times fast. Still with the Great Lakes, the International Joint Commission's Management of Water Levels, Lake Ontario St. Lawrence Plan 2014 and the Adaptive Management Plan is put in place to address those extreme water levels across the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence River system. And of course, our longstanding participation is to ensure that water levels incorporate those very important key fish and wildlife valuables, key fish and wildlife values as part of the criteria. We heard a little bit of talk earlier on today about the Canada-Ontario Agreement on the Great Lakes and how important it is. This is a renewable 5-year agreement between Ontario and the federal government. It provides that crucial project funding to MNR, Environment Canada, and the Department of Fisheries and Oceans for the Great Lakes Water Quality Agreement priorities. The OFAH has been advocating for many, many years that both the provincial and the federal governments need to increase their contributions to COA, and we will continue to advocate for that. The Experimental Lakes area was a DFO-run facility in Northern Ontario providing significant and direct contributions to the understanding, management, and enhancement of our freshwater fisheries. The federal government did announce the closure of the Experimental Lakes area in 2012. We had advocated to all levels of government about the importance of ELA and urged DFO to seek partners to maintain the research capacity at this facility, and we're certainly pleased that the Ontario government has stepped up to ensure ELA will remain open, and that's good news. Land use and management. Parks and protected areas. Let's start there. We continue to advocate for fishing and hunting opportunities to be incorporated and promoted as compatible and highly beneficial activities in all classes and types of protected areas in Ontario. In 2013, we advocated for hunting in provincial parks in many ways, which included, and there's just a small sample of a few of them, commenting on the Ontario Protected Areas Planning Guidelines, the Balsam Lake and Quetico Provincial Park Management Plans, and we also sent a letter and we had discussions with Ontario Parks in that southwest zone, and again, to help include that proactive wildlife management, which includes hunting. And again, for a more fulsome and in-depth view, please take a look at the annual report. And there's just a few other projects that we commented on and we were involved in. Darlington Provincial Park, OFAH Zone E, administers the long-standing controlled waterfowl hunt in Darlington Provincial Park. We do have staff representation on the steering committee of the McLaughlin Bay Restoration Project to ensure that hunting and fishing remain as key considerations in that management plan, and that's important to us all. And we did request for a Waterfowl Heritage Day, but it was declined, but we never take no for an answer. We will continue to advocate for a Waterfowl Heritage Day in the coming years. Access issues. We continue to be a strong advocate for public access to those high-quality fishing and hunting opportunities, those opportunities that all of us enjoy so much. We remain involved in forest management planning, land use planning, provincial park planning, and any other exercise that has the potential to affect public access to our natural resources and those very, very important fishing and hunting opportunities. And here's just a few of the things that we worked on over the course of the year. Botha Creek, the Hunt Camp Access, which was part of the Madawaska Highlands land use plan. And again, please take a look at the annual report. And again, our staff are here to answer any questions you may have. Forest management planning. The OFH reviews and comments on forest management planning documents to ensure fish and wildlife conservation, as well as anglers and hunters, are adequately considered. These include provincial guiding documents as well as forest-specific plans, amendments, and annual work plans and schedules. Forest management planning, still with that topic, we have been a member of the Boreal Landscape Development Team, and in 2013 we commented on the final draft of the guide, and the OFH provided comments on the proposed coverage of the forest management planning under the Environmental Assessment Act. Resource development and extraction, the OFH reviews and comments on regulations and policies, and sometimes site-specific development plans related to how they may affect the quality and quantity of our hunting and fishing opportunities throughout the province of Ontario. And in 2013, we reviewed and commented on, and here's just a few of them, the Ossiko-Hammond Gold Reef Project in Rainy River Gold, which is in Zone A, as well as proposed amendments to the Greenbelt Plan in Zone A, just to name a few. The Navigable Waters Protection Act, although it appears that changes to the Act were not intended to restrict access, the OFH remains concerned that amendments to the Act, the amendments to the Act because of potential public access restrictions to our valuable lakes and rivers and streams, and obviously that access will limit our fishing and hunting opportunities. Trails and off-road vehicles, we did review and comment on things like strengthening the Ontario Trail Strategy, the Perth County Rail Trail, which is in Zone A, and we advocated for regulation and amendments related to the use of ATVs on forest and Crown access roads. And the Crown Land Use Policy Atlas, CLUPA. M&R has an online tool that can be used to search for Crown lands in Ontario. Some of our members found it a little challenging to use, so we created a guide in 2012 to assist members searching for Crown land, hunting and fishing opportunities, which makes this M&R tool easier to navigate. M&R did update the CLUPA in 2013, so we made the appropriate changes to our guide, and I'm pleased to tell you that in 2013 we distributed over 550 copies of the OFH CLUPA guide to our members. Nature Conservancy of Canada, we did enter into a formal partnership with NCC in 2013 to administer some hunting opportunities on their land. All in all, 7 pieces of property were made available to the OFAH and member clubs in that eastern portion of the province. In total, there was over 1,600 acres of land available to us, and I'm certainly pleased that 7 of the 5 properties were utilized, and 35 OFH member clubs were granted permission to hunt and experience some great hunting opportunities. Now, we hope that this relationship with NCC will certainly build in the years to come, and I am also pleased to report that there was absolutely no incidents reported. And for those of you that want a little bit more information on how perhaps your club can get involved, Brian McRae from our head office looks after that. He's here. Please pop over and say hi to Brian, and he'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Advocacy. Start with the Prime Minister's office, and we continue to meet with staff at the Prime Minister's office to continue a long-standing dialogue on issues of interest to our outdoor community. We did have a visit from Federal Minister, the Honourable Stephen Blaney, Minister of Public Safety. He met with us. He toured the OFH Mario Cordellucci Hunting and Fishing Centre, and we had a great visit there, and he actually gave me a good run for my money. He's not a bad shot. Took him downstairs to the Stoger pellet gun range, and he's pretty proficient. Among the topics discussed were changes to licensing, gun markings, the UN treaty, amendments to the Firearms Act, and the need for mandatory firearms training for all first-time users and owners, and all of you know that is OFH policy, mandatory training for all first-timers. The Minister indicated that action on several fronts could be coming in the new year, and we certainly look forward to continuing dialogue and working with the Minister. Still with firearms issues, the OFH has continued to push for the repeal of Section 15.1 of the Firearms Act, which states that seized firearms can only be offered to the Chief Firearms Office for destruction or for any scientific research or education purpose or for preservation as a historical firearm. Now, this section of the Act came into force in 2008 and is still one of the remnants of Bill C-68. But prior to 2008, firearms that were seized by provincial enforcement officers could be turned over to conservation organizations such as the OFH that we could auction and sell and use those funds for many worthwhile fish and wildlife conservation projects. So there is an interest in changing that section of the Act to allow the diversion of those firearms, and we'll continue to work with government on that. Also, the Interstate Wildlife Violators Act. In the U.S., 38 member states have joined together to form the Interstate Wildlife Violators Act, which allows participating states to share information regarding fishing, hunting, and trapping violations with other states. So basically what that does is if you're breaking the law over here and you're abusing our fish and wildlife resources, it limits you from going to another state and doing the same thing. We would like to see something similar to that implemented in Canada, because quite frankly, if you're bending the rules here, chances are you're going to be bending the rules over here. And we'll continue to work with the government in Canada on that one. The Algonquin land claim. And again, can't tell you how much time we continue to spend on this, but it's extremely important. But I want to start by saying that we do not dispute the validity of the claim. I think we've told you that many, many times, and we're on the record of saying that. We don't dispute the validity of the claim. We realize that the Algonquins do have special rights under Section 35 of our Constitution. We don't dispute that. What we are asking for is an agreement that is fair and equitable. Fair and equitable. Why? There's about 1.2, 1.3 million people that live, hunt, and fish, enjoy those natural resources within the Algonquin land claim area. There's about 10,000 Algonquins. It needs to be fair and equitable. Fair and equitable is all we're asking for. We are concerned with the lack of the public consultation around this file, and we have asked many, many times for this process to be clear and transparent. In our opinion, it was lacking. So what did we do? We decided that we were going to go out and we were going to inform our members what's going on with the Algonquin land claim and what may be at risk. So, in 2013, in partnership with the Canadian Sport Fishing Industry Association and the Federation of Cottagers Association, we did host 5 public information sessions across that eastern portion of the province. 1,500 people attended, many who subsequently contacted their local politicians and representatives to ask for some answers. Quite frankly, a lot of people that attended these sessions were hearing about this for the first time. We will continue to be engaged in this file. It's huge for our organization, and it's certainly huge for each and every one of you that love to fish and hunt. We also created a website devoted to the Algonquin land claim, and if you haven't visited it yet, please take a moment to do so, algonquinlandclaim.ca. There's a lot of great information on there, a lot of correspondence that has come from our organization to all levels of government. And we also undertook the production of a webcast, which is also featured on the website. So please, if you haven't done so, take a look. The Williams Treaty. So I want to take you back to 1923 for a minute. And at that time, the 7 signatory bands within the Williams Treaty signed, and they relinquished all their special hunting and fishing rights. Now, so for many years we all lived in harmony. We all abided by the same set of rules set forth by the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Act. But back in the mid-90s, the Williams Treaty was challenged and went all the way to the Supreme Court. And at that particular time, the OFAH was given intervenor status in this process. We also had the support of both the provincial and the federal government. So we're all on the same page. We all agreed that in 1923, those special hunting and fishing rights were relinquished. So let's fast forward to the fall of 2012 when we receive a piece of correspondence from the province that says William is now back in court. This time, it's being supported by both levels of government. So what changed? What changed? So, in July, our OFAH legal counsel proceeded with the filing of an extensive record in the Superior Court of Justice that consisted of 3 affidavits and 2 factums. We're seeking a couple of things: intervenor status in the case itself and declaratory relief against the interim enforcement policy. I forgot to mention that when all this went back to court, when we were informed that all this was going back to court and it's being supported by both levels of government, the province initiated the interim enforcement policy, which means the Williams signatories can go back and fish and hunt whenever they want, wherever they want. In our opinion, this is prejudging the outcome of the case. So that's what we've asked for. We've asked, you know what, while the case is being heard, suspend that. Give us intervenor status. Give us the opportunity to be before you one more time. We did appear in court in December, and as you heard yesterday, we were not granted intervenor status in the case, a huge disappointment to our organization. And as of Wednesday, our legal counsel has formally launched an appeal. We'll keep you posted. Please stay tuned in to Angler and Hunter Radio, Ontario Out of Doors magazine, and we'll continue to inform our membership on how we progress in this. Sunday gun hunting in Southern Ontario was a very active file in 2013. We did correspond with a number of municipalities in Southern Ontario directly, which resulted in response from 18 municipalities and 12 council meeting appearances. So I want you to take a look at this map. Take a look at the margin. If you can see, it's dated 2005. So if you recall then, Minister of Natural Resources, David Ramsey, and it's something that we had been advocating for a long time, expanded Sunday gun hunting opportunities in Southern Ontario. So then Minister of Natural Resources, Minister Ramsey, said, you know what? I'll create the legislation. I will allow municipalities the opportunity to either opt in or opt out of Sunday gun hunting. It's up to you, OFAH, to go out and sell it. We love challenges. We absolutely love challenges. So that's where we were in 2005, and the yellow represents Southern Ontario Sunday gun hunting municipalities. I want you to take a look. That's where we are today. That's where we are today, and that's due to your efforts, those of you that I know have attended council meetings in support of, and our hardworking head office staff that hit the road running and have continued to make these presentations. Now you can see some lightly shaded yellow areas there. Those are additions. This map hasn't been updated, but we took the opportunity to update. Our goal, obviously, is to see a sea of yellow here, and I hope that someday soon I can stand before you and show you this slide where Sunday gun hunting is allowed in every municipality across Southern Ontario. That's huge. It's great opportunities for you. We all live very busy and hectic lifestyles. You know, hunting Monday to Friday certainly isn't an option for a lot of us, and due to our schedules, either a Saturday but Sunday, we can at least squeeze away one day and enjoy those great hunting opportunities that this province has to offer. Discharge of firearms, extremely active file as well in 2013. Either directly or indirectly, the OFAH has been involved in no less than 12 different municipal bylaws, which includes going to over 23 appearances at Committee of the Whole, council meetings, meetings with Deputy Clerk, and public meetings, and we will continue to work to ensure the rights of Ontario's hunters and recreational shooters are well represented. The National Hunting, Trapping, and Fishing Heritage Act, this is the third version of the bill introduced by Rick Norlock, MP for Northumberland, Quinte West. Once passed, this bill will provide the creation of a national day recognizing the importance of fishing and hunting and trapping. And once the bill passed second reading, which it has, the OFAH will appear in support of the legislation at committee. So why do you think the OFAH would be involved in the Payment Cards Network Act? In October, Liberal Senator Ringette introduced a bill that would exempt charities, and the OFAH is a charity, from most credit card fees. The bill is expected to be referred to the Standing Committee on Banking, Trade, and Commerce. We have contacted the committee clerk and asked to appear in support of the bill once public hearings have been scheduled. If implemented, this would save our organization in excess of $80,000. That's what we pay every year in credit card fees. Wouldn't it be great to have an additional $80,000 available to us for fish and wildlife conservation programs? I think you'll all agree it would. Each year. That's from our treasurer, Frank. Each year. Wild game and fish reception. In October, the OFAH, along with the provincial and territorial affiliates, hosted a wild game and fish reception for all members of Parliament and the Senate. The evening provided the OFAH and representatives of our provincial territorial affiliates from right across Canada that very relaxed atmosphere for that one-on-one interaction with MPs and senators. We were extremely pleased that over 145 members of Parliament and the Senate attended, including 9 cabinet ministers. And the event, as I mentioned, was extremely successful in 2013, and it was decided that this reception would occur again this year, 2014. Queen's Park event, also very successful. We celebrated our 9th annual wild game and fish reception, which was held in June. Over 40 ministers and MPPs attended along with their staff. Many called it the most successful event to date. So that's just a brief overview of some of the advocacy work that we've been doing, and obviously it's not hard to tell that we've been extremely active on that file. Before I get into programs, I want to talk a little bit about the strength of partnerships and the important role that our partners play in helping us deliver these programs. Quite frankly, the programs wouldn't be what they are today. They wouldn't be as successful as they are today if it wasn't for the strength of partnerships. It wouldn't be as successful as they are today if we didn't have support from both the provincial and federal governments, and it certainly wouldn't be as successful as they are today because we rely hugely on the contribution of our volunteers, and you'll see shortly here just how much we rely on them. So we have some great programs that we administer in partnership with some government agencies, and let's start with the Invasive Species Program, which has been an absolutely fantastic relationship since 1992. The focus is preventing invasive species introductions into Ontario and forests and Ontario forests and waters. We collaborate with hundreds of community groups, non-government organizations, and all levels of government. And in 2013, we reached millions of Ontario residents and telling them the important role that they can play in helping spread or preventing invasive species from entering the province. Outreach. We are members of several committees formed to address the threats posed by invasive species. We are successful in attracting newsprint, radio, and television, as well as media interest regarding the topic. Our outreach is a broad audience, including anglers and hunters and recreational boaters and gardeners and ATV users, aquarium hobbyists, landowners, and the general public. All in all, our staff were extremely busy last year, and they attended in excess of 210 events. We delivered numerous workshops, presentation, and strategic initiatives. Still with outreach, we coordinated the installation of an interactive display in Algonquin Park. We helped produce the binational Lake Superior Aquatic Invasive Species Guide. We installed 2 new invasive species billboards on Highway 11 and Rainy River, and we continue to monitor the website, create newsletters, and are very, very active on social media. And as I pointed out, I'm not active on social media, but we have staff that certainly know the importance and the value of social media. Oh, what did I do there? Oh, there we go. We actually are home to the Invasive Species Hit Squad, and in 2013 we did welcome 22 students that were made possible through the Canada Summer Jobs Program. They attended over 150 community events across the province, and we were also fortunate to have an invasive species intern made available to us through funding from the Invasive Species Center in Sault Ste. Marie, and I believe the Executive Director of the ISC is here, Dillery Fernando. Thanks, Dillery. We certainly appreciate your support there. The Live Release Project, we also are looking into cultural motivations behind the live release of organisms. We also participated in Operation Bake Bucket and Operation Boat Clean on Lake Simcoe, and also participated in that pet store outreach. And again, that funding was made possible through the ISC and the Sioux. Monitoring control, we are home to the Invasive Species Hotline. All in all, in 2013, we did receive 795 calls. Our Invasive Species Watch program visited 120 lakes, with control efforts being focused on garlic mustard, European water chestnut, and water soldier. The Early Detection and Mapping System is an innovative web-based mapping tool used to document the distribution of invasive species. So if you call the hotline, and you can call the hotline, it's open to all residents of Ontario to call the hotline. You can ask for information. We'd be more than happy to give that or send it to you. But you can also call the hotline to report a sighting. If your sighting is confirmed, it goes to EDMAPS. EDMAPS will help track that, and it gives our staff and managers all the information they need to come up with those control measures or methods to help stop the spread. And again, I talked about the importance of partnerships. I can't go through and list every one of them, but please take a look at that very comprehensive list. The program is extremely successful today because of the strength of partnerships. The Community Hatchery Program. A year ago today, the deputy stood before you and talked about a great new partnership that we were going to form, a partnership between our organization and the Ministry of Natural Resources, and that was the Community Hatchery Program. We've had a great first year, and the program provides that strategic and targeted support for Ontario's fish culture and stocking efforts. 42 community hatcheries reared 9 species of fish. Those hatcheries are projected to stock millions of fish in various life stages, and all in all, the program awarded almost $144,000 in total funding to community hatcheries right across this province. So a great first year. Bring back the salmon to Lake Ontario. Still rely heavily on that generous contribution from Ontario Power Generation, and they still are our major sponsor. And again, M&R continues to be our lead partner. Fish production and stocking. 87,000 yearlings were stocked into 4 tribs, 500,000 eggs were stocked directly into streams, 65,000 non-feeding fry were stocked, and there were complements of the Bell Fountain and Islington Club hatcheries. 423,000 feeding fry were stocked, thanks to Normandale and Fleming College hatcheries, 188 fall fingerlings, thanks to the work of Ringwood working with Metro East Anglers and Fleming College, and of course Normandale contributed greatly to that as well. So habitat restoration and water quality enhancement, I just love this element of the program. Why? Because we do some great habitat work. 17 projects all in all. We planted in excess of 2,400 trees, over 2,700 shrubs, which included, take a look at this, remember I talked about we need our volunteers to make this happen. 527 volunteers who gave so generously of their time, over 1,400 hours to help us accomplish what we needed to do. We also participated in the pre-Earth Week cleanup event in Pickering, the 7th annual Earth Week event in Cobourg, 5 Tree Day events involving, again, volunteers, almost 200 of them, almost 480 volunteer hours. Research and assessment, the OFH does participate on the science team. The Ministry of Natural Resources, the Lake Ontario Management Unit to be exact, and the Credit Valley Conservation Authority did assess smolts on the Credit River using their rotary screw trap, and the Toronto Region Conservation Authority and M&R installed and operated that resistance board reel on Dufferins Creek. M&R continues the operation of the Streetsville and Norway fishways to monitor returns, and M&R and the Credit Valley Conservation crew electroshocked spring sites in the Credit to assess in-stream survival and growth rates. And I had the opportunity, as did Deputy O'Toole, to attend some of those events, and absolutely fantastic to see how far the program has progressed over the course of the last 7 years or so. Education and outreach. Take a look at who we're involving here. Just take a look at that photo for a second. Who do you see there? A bunch of kids. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Remember last year we talked about, it wasn't the OFAH that invented making learning fun. It certainly wasn't us, but we certainly mastered it. And we do it in everything that we do. We always try to involve our youth. And I'm going to touch on a few more programs in a moment, which will highlight the importance of our youth. And again, I can't stress the importance of involving our youth in the outdoors enough, and you're going to see some huge dividends that are being achieved because we've been able to do that. The Classroom Hatchery program runs all the way from Hamilton to Kingston. There's those that help us participate and deliver our Classroom Hatchery program. Quite frankly, what we do is we provide them with a chiller unit, a supply of eggs. These school kids look after those right up until the release date, and then a class trip involves heading out to one of the tributaries and letting them go. What a great class trip. Wish I had that opportunity when I was a kid. They used to make us go to the zoo and feed animals through a cage or something. I can't remember what it was. And again, we took part in many presentations, media events, social media, and we also have interest from 2 documentary filmmakers on our efforts towards the Atlantic Salmon Program. Again, I can't list them all, but 40 plus partners. And again, we couldn't do it without you. List goes on and on. Unbelievable. Great support. The Ontario Invasive Plant Council, the OFH, continues to take the lead role in assisting OIPC by providing housing and administration. For the OIPC coordinator and the project liaison as well, we do still sit on the board of directors. We're working to reduce the impact of invasive plant species through the development of user-friendly information and resources, and we also facilitate collaboration among many interested groups. We did complete 3 more best management practices in addition to the 12 we already have out there, and last year we completed Japanese knotweed, garlic muster, and reed canary. We also continue to work on the Grow Me Instead nursery recognition expansion project, and we also conducted workshops on clean equipment protocol and landowner control. The Community Stream Steward Program, still making a difference one stream at a time. Focus is preservation, restoration, and enhancement of cold water habitats on public and private lands, working alongside landowners, communities, youth volunteers, and other stewardship organizations. And there's just a few of the projects that we worked on over the course of 2013. And again, for a more comprehensive outlook, please take a look at that annual report. And again, the strength of partnerships. We couldn't do it without them. Let's talk a little bit about hunter education. And I want you to take a look at that number on the bottom of the screen there. 25,235 students went through the hunter education program in 2013. And you take a look that we continue to see growth each and every year. We're the only jurisdiction in North America that continues to grow the program like we continue to do. So some people have come to me and said, you guys are awful lucky. I said, lucky? What do you mean lucky? Well, look at your hunter ed numbers. Now, you know what? You might get lucky once. You may get lucky twice, but not for so many consecutive years. Why is the program so successful? Great partnership with the Ontario Ministry of Natural Resources. Fantastic staff, both OFAH staff and M&R staff. But we have some of the best hunter ed instructors the world could ask for. Over 300 of them in the province of Ontario. They're passionate and they're committed to the program. They want to make sure it succeeds. That's why the program is as successful as it is today. Something else that I want to draw your attention to, nothing happens by luck. But you know what? Many years ago, the OFAH made a commitment to spend an enormous amount of time and resources on youth education, involving our youth in the outdoors. And we're starting to see dividends on those investments, and I'll elaborate on that in a moment. But through our programs, and I'll use the OFH Mario Cordalucci Hunting and Fishing Heritage Center as an example, what do? We bring in kids. We don't teach them how to be great hunters. We don't teach them how to be great anglers. But we do teach them that the best conservationists in the world are anglers and hunters. It's the truth. We are. So what do you think these kids want to do when they get older? Well, in this case, they want to go hunting. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, and we should be proud of our accomplishments. We should be proud of our accomplishments. We did host the 22nd Annual OFH Hunter Education Instructors Conference, which was held in Peterborough, and we were pleased to welcome 52 instructors to that event. We were pleased to acknowledge the past contributions of past OFH President Terry Smeltzer, as well as Pat Hogan and Bill McKittrick. They were all inducted into the Hunter Ed Hall of Fame for their many years of work to help enhance and move the yardsticks forward on this great program. And for those Hunter Ed instructors that are in the room and haven't done so yet, please consider joining us in London that first week in June. It's a great weekend. The Young Hunter Education Scholarship Fund celebrated its 13th anniversary. We were certainly pleased to get that great donation from the Safari Club International Foundation in Arizona. They donated $5,000 to the program. This fund helps young people between the ages of 12 and 17 by providing that needed financial assistance. You know what? Just because you can't afford it, that's no reason for that to be a barrier. We want everyone that has an interest in hunter ed to be given that opportunity to take hunter education. And I also know that there's many hunter education instructors in this room that on a regular basis are approached by individuals who know someone that wants to take hunter education, but unfortunately can't afford to do so. Can't afford to do so. So what do our instructors say? That's not a problem. Send them to my class. I'll look after it. It'll be free of charge. That's why the program is as successful as it is today. And I want you to take a look at this great stat here, because since 2000, when we rolled this program out, the Young Hunter Education Scholarship Fund has taken in over 685 applications, and we've paid out over $64,000 to help those less fortunate take hunter education, and that's a huge accomplishment. Absolutely fantastic. We do administer the Wild Turkey Hunter Education Program, again in partnership with the Ministry of Natural Resources, and the most popular way to take that turkey course in 2013 was through the DVD program. All in all, 11,300 new turkey hunters licenses were processed, and for those of you that don't like that home study option and want to attend a seminar, we did host 28 of those, and 2,452 students took part in those. Youth hunting, I'm not going to go through each and every one of the events that we worked on or helped coordinate in 2013, but again, investment in our future, providing those great hunting opportunities for our youth. And I know, where's Randy Jennings? Randy Jennings at the back of the room from our head office. Randy coordinates our youth hunting program. If you have an interest, if your club or zone wants to get involved in youth hunting, I certainly appreciate you to go, we appreciate the opportunity for you to go and speak to Randy. He has all the information needed. He'll help set you up. He'll work with you. It's extremely rewarding, and it certainly does get youth off and running. I'm getting a little dry here. And again, there's just a few of the events we participated in. OFAH Wild Turkey Hunter Wild Turkey Registry. Hunters of all ages submitted their harvest information for inclusion into the registry. The cost is still only $8 for OFH members and $15 for non-members. Thanks, Alan. And a different turkey pin is awarded every year for entrants who submitted the required information about their harvest. And again, we were pleased that 130 entries were received last year. Talk a little bit about that investment I talked about a few moments ago and the leadership camps. Camps combine leadership and team building, conservation education, and outdoor exploration, which includes fishing, target shooting, and trap shooting. The camp celebrated its 12th anniversary in 2013, and 180 youth registered for 3 camps in only a few minutes, and we're certainly pleased that we have the resources available to offer a 4th camp in 2014. But think about this for a second. How lucky are these kids to be able to go to a camp and experience things like 22 shooting? What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. I wish I had that opportunity when I was a kid. It's an absolutely fantastic opportunity. I know these kids enjoy being there. Their parents enjoy the experience. And again, certainly wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for our staff and our volunteers. Do you know that each and every year, some of our volunteers actually book holidays, a week, 2 weeks, to go volunteer at these camps to give kids this unbelievable experience. That's why the camp is so successful. We also need to thank Camp Ramova in Huntsville. We've had a great partnership with them for many, many years. They provide for us that great facility that these kids get to experience. Again, we enhanced the program a little bit last year. The OFH worked alongside the Ontario Federation of All-Terrain Vehicle Clubs to provide youth rider training. So we went out to one of our sponsors, one of our retailers, Canadian Tire, and we pitched this idea. They loved it. They absolutely loved the idea because we all know that ATVs are becoming more and more popular, and we want to make sure our youth are given the proper training. So Canadian Tire did not say to us, we're going to lend you some ATVs. They didn't tell us they were going to rent us some ATVs. They didn't tell us they were going to lease ATVs. What do you think they did? They gave them to us. They gave us 8 of these Viper 90s, which belong to the program now, and we will continue to offer this great program enhancement in the years to come. Conference, the leadership conference. Someone said to me that t-shirt isn't going to fit you, and it's probably not. But you know what? During the course of the weekend, you're going to see a bunch of kids walking around with this t-shirt on. You know what? They're a great addition to this conference. Please welcome them. Please say hi, because they will be sitting in your chair someday. We need them here. We absolutely need them here because they are our future. And you know what? We had 80 great kids join us last year, and we're sold out again this year. They're going to be here tonight, and they'll be with us tomorrow as well. Please welcome them here. Ontario Family Fishing Events, there's the dates of the 2013 events and the remaining 2014 events. We did celebrate 20 great years of summer events in 2013. Again, we hosted the most popular event that the province did see in the winter. Over 1,200 individuals participated in the Peterborough ice fishing event, and the summer event is still a week long, and it coincides with National Fishing Week. Tackle Share, for 15 years, this program has provided rods and reels and supplies to OFH Tackle Share loaner sites, and we have about 148 of them across the province. It's really quite simple. It works just like a public library. You go in, you sign out a rod and reel and some tackle, you go and experience a great day of fishing and return the products. And you know what? A lot of people that have never tried fishing before get to do it at no charge. And guess what happens? The first time you put a rod and a reel in a kid's hand, or first time you introduce somebody that's never had the opportunity to fish, what happens? They get hooked. and we have them forever. Fishing is great, and you know what? We do everything we possibly can to enhance that fishing opportunity, particularly to those that haven't had the opportunity to try it before. And again, the program in 2013 supported the new Learn to Fish program through M&R at 4 Ontario parks, and I know the deputy spoke about this as well today. These parks were each supplied 30 rods and reel combos and 5 fully stocked tackle boxes, and again, it's a great opportunity to introduce those that have never tried fishing to the outdoors and fishing. And again, our sponsors make it all happen. We did celebrate 19 years of the Women's Outdoor Weekend in 2013. This is a very relaxed, non-intimidating environment for women to get out and try things like fishing and sport shooting and breaking some clays. And again, 80 women gathered for this great weekend at the Canark Outdoor Center. And again, our great sponsors made this possible. How many people in this room have never visited the OFAH Mario Cordellucci Hunting and Fishing Center? Well, you know what? I'm giving you a personal invitation. Please come visit us. You won't be disappointed. It's an absolutely fantastic facility, and it's a place where we can actually celebrate our fishing and hunting heritage. And we did celebrate a couple of milestones in 2013. We did welcome our 5,000 student visitor, and they celebrated with us. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the visit that these students experience. This is Board of Education approved, curriculum-linked field trips. They have smiles on their faces, ear to ear, when they get off the bus. They sit for 4 hours, 5 hours, and listen to our educators, and they don't even realize that they're learning. They're having a great time. And again, remember what I mentioned a few moments ago. We did not invent making learning fun, but we certainly mastered it, and we certainly mastered it through this facility. These kids are just as happy when they leave as when they are when they get there. Why? They can't wait to get home to tell their parents about the great experience, and they can't wait to get back and tell their buddies at school on what they're missing out on. This is an absolutely fantastic facility. So again, if you haven't been there, please take the time to join us. I have the pleasure of my office window overlooking this little green area where the kids get to learn. It's absolutely fantastic to watch. So if you get the opportunity to come when the school group is there, you'll find it extremely rewarding. We also continued our partnership with the Quinte Elk Restoration Committee, who has offered to pay for buses and admission costs for schools to visit from the Quinte region, and that's obviously good news. The Get Outdoors Summer Day Camp program had a successful third season thanks to the financial support from the OFAH Zone E. The camp will run for the next 2 summers, and we certainly appreciate that. 2013 marked the first full year of the Stoeger Canada Air Gun and the Excalibur Archery ranges, which are located in the lower level. All in all, almost 1,700 users had a chance to learn the responsibility behind safe shooting and to practice their skills and safety first and foremost. And there you see our instructors and range officers making sure that safety is top of mind. The OFAH Shimano Fishing Pond is also part of that learning experience that we offer at the OFAH, and we did host 2 Cops and Kids fishing events for the first time in partnership with Big Brothers and Big Sisters. All in all, 1,500, almost 1,600 anglers from numerous community groups made use of the pond in 2013. Special thanks to Shimano. We still are home of the OFAH Ontario Record Fish Registry, and it does promote recreational fishing. And it is the official scoreboard for all those anglers that dream about catching that big fish. 2 potential records in 2013, which included the Mooneye and the coho salmon. And all records are displayed at the OFAH Mario Cordellucci Hunting and Fishing Heritage Center. And again, another reason to pop by and see us. Angler Awards promotes recreational fishing in Ontario. All the OFAH receives great exposure and profile through this program and encourage people of all ages to get out and get active and get fishing. We do reward all those anglers for their entries, 4,000 of them in 2013, and since its inception, the program has seen over 45,600 entries, 15,000 visits to our website as well, and again, please visit anglerawards.com for more information, and again, thank you to our sponsors for making that possible. You met a few of them last evening, and you will meet a few more this evening. We certainly do support those young those young scientists, those brilliant minds that will help guide the future well-being of this province's fish and wildlife, and we certainly thank all those that make these research grants possible. Toronto Sportsman Show, Zone G, Oakville District Rod and Gun Club. New for 2013 was the St. Catharines Game and Fish Association, and we certainly appreciate their support as well, approved by the OFAH Board of Directors in recognition of past President Dr. Dave Ankney and the contributions of his wife Sandy Johnson. We are pleased to offer in 2013 the OFAH Dr. Dave Ankney Sandy Johnson Avian Ecology Grant. And again, you met a few of them last evening. You will meet the remainder of them this evening. Please take the opportunity to congratulate them and thank them for their fine research work. OFAH Communications. Somebody said to me once, you guys are a communications giant. I'll take that as a compliment because we are. The OFAH is home of Angler and Hunter Television, Angler and Hunter Radio, and Ontario Out of Doors Magazine. Angler and Hunter TV, believe it or not, celebrated its 21st anniversary, and Mike Miller has done an absolutely fantastic job in hosting our TV program, as we also have experienced a great working relationship with our new broadcast partner, OLN, the Outdoor Life Network. They have provided us the opportunity to continue for us to deliver that important conservation message on a national level. And again, some of the industry's leading manufacturers and some of the country's largest retailers support Angler and Hunter Television. Angler and Hunter Radio, always timely and topical, and Season 3 was highlighted by Win radio host Tom Otto's Alumacraft Yamaha boat package. I'm pleased that Les Mackey from Lively was that lucky winner. Les didn't have to buy a ticket. All he had to do was tune in to the radio program on a weekly basis and listen for the passcode and then enter it. And you know what? We will be launching the new program in 2014, Win That Alumacraft Yamaha boat package, under the watchful eye of our new radio host, Randy Jennings. Where's Randy? Randy left. Oh, there he is. He's doing interviews. Perfect. There he is. He's working. Anyways, Randy's been with the radio program here for about a month or so, and I know you've all had the opportunity to listen to his first 2 or 3 shows, and he's doing an absolutely fantastic job. He will be interviewing some of our speakers and guests here this evening, so listen to future episodes of A&H Radio. And again, thank you to our sponsors for making radio possible. Ontario Out of Doors Magazine. 2013 was yet another successful year for the OFAH Ontario Out of Doors Magazine. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge Leslie Goodwin, our editor-in-chief, and April Scott, our web editor, who do an absolutely fantastic job with this magazine. It's ranked Canada's best read outdoor publication by the Print Measurement Bureau. Leslie's mom and dad say it's the best magazine out there as well. Ontario Out of Doors received a grant from the Ontario Media Development Corporation, which enabled us to step up our online presence. As I mentioned, we did hire a web editor in 2013 as the website was redesigned and relaunched in July under the new URL, www.oodmag.com. The new website received about 12 million page views by more than 651 unique visitors. The OOD forum remained a major hub for anglers and hunters with 1,200 members and millions of hits. Still with OOD, we did win the Canadian Online Publishing Award for Best Use of Social Media. On average, OOD received 6,000 referrals a month through Facebook, Twitter, and Google. And the OOD video library grew to 166 clips, most popular, which topped 66,000 views. And I also need to acknowledge one of our contributors, the guy that's been taking pictures most of the weekend, Jeff Helsen. Jeff writes for the magazine and does an absolutely fantastic job, so thank you for that as well, Jeff. OFAH Communications, we do house all our communications internally, and again, we did issue 38 media releases primarily through MarketWire. We also made use of our extensive web presence, which includes social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and we also provide an e-news service and a feed to enable followers to automatically receive OFAH media releases and other updates electronically. For all our members, I know how important and valuable for all our members, I know how valuable that 16-page insertion of Hotline is to you. Always timely and topical, and it certainly highlights everything that the organization has been up to and everything that's certainly important to you as an OFH member. Our web team, and yes, we have a web team. They only manage 17 web properties and their associated Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube accounts, as well as monitoring the forum. They're extremely busy, and they do an absolutely fantastic job. 17 websites, over 2.8 million visits. We're liked 14,800 plus times on Facebook. We have 7,600 followers and over 565 video views on YouTube. So we are certainly active in social media. I'd like to finish off today with talking a little bit about OFH finances. As Frank mentioned yesterday, there is a set of brackets around a small number there, and we will continue to invest in conservation projects, things that make sense, fit within our mandate, things that our members, things that this province's Fish and Wildlife need. We'll continue to do that. In 2014, we delivered some great programs within operating on a balanced budget. Our auditors have given us the best possible report, a clean audit opinion. In addition, they told us that we had a reasonable financial year. We balanced our books, and our general fund had a positive cash flow from operations of over $235,000. So our organization continues to be financially sound. We will continue to do what's right for this province's Fish and Wildlife, and we'll certainly continue to represent you, our valued members, to the best of our ability. And with that, I would like to say, once again, thanks for a great year, and I want to end off where I started, thanking each and every one of you. It's been a pleasure to be here, and I hope you enjoy the remainder of your weekend. And again, please feel free to not only see us, but our staff if you have any questions, and I consider it an honor to be this organization's executive director. So thank you for that.